Americans, I know not all my listeners are American, but there's where there's a thing called jury duty. If you know what it is, good. If you don't, let me quickly explain a little bit. You go to a courthouse and you volunteer to be part of a jury, which is something that sentences people to either prison or sometimes very severe crimes. So I had to do that, and in America, it is a felony if you don't show up for jury duty. So ever since I started going to jury duty, I've been distracted a little. And I'm finally out, so I'm trying to get back on the rocker. So this is this is either 2 or 3. I'll have to look, and it'll be in the title. We start off with a young Hagakure waking up. She's waking up and she feels someone tightly hugging her, but this isn't what she normally feels when someone hugs her. They normally go for tightness because they want to just hug her because she's soft and adorable looking. But she normally stays invisible because she has the powers to be invisible, to levitate things herself, and to manipulate light. And that's it. She literally has the Cheshire Cat's abilities. That means she can teleport short distances, yes. So, she's fully visible. And she always stays invisible. The only people that can see her are the people who she wants to see her, or Aizawa, because his quirk is based in his eyes. If a quirk is based in their eyes, they can see her when she's invisible, which is the one downside of her quirk. But Izumi's quirk is not based in her eyes. Izumi's quirk is based on her own whole entire body. So she can see Hagakure while she's invisible. Clearly. Aizawa sees a specter version of Hagakure, so he says favorite student without actually telling anybody that she's his favorite student. So she's waking up and she smells a sweet scent that she never smells before. And she's getting hugged, gently but still tight. And she tries to worm her way out of it. She first tried to teleport because she doesn't like to contact people, but she can't teleport. And she's not freaking out like she normally does from human contact. Normally, whenever someone that is human or anything that is living, that is highly sentient, if they have a mutation quirk where they don't look human at all, touches her, she starts having a panic attack because she doesn't like human contact. But Izumi is different. She's not having a panic attack. And Hagakure is completely confused about this, so she tries to worm her way out of it, and Izumi tightens her grip just a tiny bit to where it's still soft, but she can't get out. And Hagakure starts to look at Izumi and notices how pretty Izumi is to Hagakure, and she starts thinking. So without noticing, she starts petting Izumi, and when she finally notices she's starting to pet Izumi, she just continues doing it. And she starts smiling and having a good time. Then the door gets busted open. And Aizawa walks in and be like, okay, problem, children? And he gets daggers glared at him. And he noticed Hagakure snap her arm back when he busted in the door. So he's like, ooh, Okay? I see what's going on. So, she's now glaring daggers at him. And he goes, if I stay here, I'm most likely going to get mauled by her after Izumi wakes up. So I should leave. He goes, you're good for the next week if Izumi doesn't wake up. Nezu will send you a letter, probably in your room already. When you see it, read it. You're going to have to keep an eye on her. And he points at Izumi, and Izumi's still asleep. And she goes, what? And he goes, yeah. Gotta go teach the class of idiots. See you later. And he walks out. And this is a private room in the recovery girl's office for teachers and high priority students. And all the high priority students are the villain rehabilitation students. So Bakugo is in class, and he saw her for one day, and he sparred with her for a little bit. The entire city was getting blown up, because he does have all for one. No, one for all. He has one for all from All Might. And I'm changing it a little, because canon, the one for all kills the users if they have a quirk and they don't make or I'm going to change it a little bit more than I originally planned, and if they don't make the quirk their own. So it shortens your life by 75% if you don't make it your own and you have a quirk already. It's only 50% if you have a quirk. So if you're quirkless and you have haven't made it your own, you're gonna die very quickly. So All Might's life is cut in half. And Bakugo's life is not cut in half because he was born quirkless. He was born quirkless, and then he needed a genetic implant from his parents. So he got one from his mother and one from his father because he had a genetic disease, and it changed his genes to where he had a quirk. So he's technically quirkless. And they didn't see this side effect happening, so he awakened his quirk a little earlier than normal people, and he was told never to use it because it's very dangerous and he shouldn't use it unless he has to. So he went on being a cinnamon roll. Both Izumi and Bakugo were both the cinnamon rolls of class. And when Izumi's quirk fully manifested, she just disappeared. And he's been looking for her ever since because he had a crush on her. Like I already said. So... yeah, this is the third episode because Mr. No One came out last episode. So we go to the next day. Izumi finally let go of Hagakure, and Hagakure could leave the room. But once Hagakure stepped out of the room and wasn't in a 50-ish yard area of Izumi, because Izumi's senses were so heightened that she could smell if Hagakure was nearby or not, she would start freaking out like a little child attached to a toy or something sentimental that they've had since they were little, since they were born, basically. And they had immediately paged Higakure because Recovery Girl gave her a pager and saying, you're outside of the 50-yard restraint. You need to get back here or we're going to have another issue and you're going to be stuck in this room for another few days. And she goes, fine. So she runs back and she runs into the room and she starts calming down Izumi, and she's gotten a good handle on calming Izumi down. She'd run into the room and prick her finger on something and let Izumi smell her, pretty much literally smell her in the room. And Higakure is getting so annoyed with this, but she's not seeing a villain, she's seeing a child who's been tortured and tormented for the last, she doesn't even know how long, on this bed, and she's starting to get attached. So a week has passed since the incident, and Higakure has gotten used to this routine. So Izumi finally wakes up after another week and a half. So she's been out for 2.5 weeks, and she wakes up and she's starving. She looks malnourished. She woke up and all of a sudden her skin started to shrink in. She looks malnourished. She looks like she's been a husk for many, many years. And Recovery Girl walks in and sees this and goes, oh, here you go, and opens a fridge, and Izumi sees an entire fridge of blood. She starts drinking, or eating, whatever you want to say, because vampires technically eat blood, because that's how they get nourishment. And Recovery Girl says, don't touch the top shelf. And Izumi asks why, and Recovery Girl goes, that's a once-a-week shelf. You get it once a week if you're on good behavior. And Izumi asks what it's the difference between that blood and this blood. And Recovery Girl goes, that blood is like catnip to cats. That blood is like catnip to cats for you. So Higakure pokes her head in, and she's invisible to Recovery Girl. But she asks, is Izumi awake? And she looks at Izumi. And Izumi sees her and says, is kitty cat. Again. And Higakure goes, what? And she goes, you look like a kitty cat. And Higakure is just confused because she's only known that Aizawa could see her. And she doesn't know why Aizawa could see her. It's because quirk affect their eyes. So, the thing about the quirk affecting their eyes, yes, Shoji, the big Dupla arms guy, could see Higakure when he used his Dupla arms to make eyes. Yes, he could see her then. And nobody else could. May can. Night Eye can. So, we go to... This is another week after, so this has been 4 weeks since the beginning of school. And Izumi has finally moved into the dorms. And she's not given her own room. She's told that she has to be near her Higakure if she ever wants to take a nap. Or any kind of sleep activity while either Higakure is asleep or Izumi is asleep. They have to be close to each other. And everybody asks why. And Aizawa says reasons now, but out of this secretive thing. And Izumi has learned finally learned the blood type that calms her down, guaranteed. And she understands why Higakure is there now. And Higakure has changed her personality. She normally hates people being near her, but the only person that she likes is Izumi. So she normally hates everybody. The only person that she got along with, kind of, was Bakugo. But Bakugo still wasn't quite friends with her. So the only two people that are allowed near her without her yelling at them to go away, because she's more antisocial than in canon, is Izumi, because of the teacher saying so, and Bakugo, because Izumi allows Bakugo close by without something changing in Izumi and her breathing heavy, and she starts to sweat, and everybody sees this and goes, what's going on? And they already know that she's the number one villain, because freaking All Might says, yeah, you have the number one villain here. So she's finally allowed in class. Izumi is. It's 4 weeks into the school year, and Aizawa goes, okay, remember that test at the beginning of the school year? Let's run it again. See how much you've improved. And they all go, yes, sir. And Izumi's the first one up, because duh. She's the only one who hasn't taken the test. And everybody's staring at her like, how good is she? How good is she? And she goes, can I use full or not full? And he goes, FT or NT? And she goes, NT. And he goes, yeah, go right ahead. And they have gotten a little bit of a code words to know what she means by a certain words. So they've labeled her normal look N for normal, and her transformation T, because she has 3 transformations. She has Berserk, which, if anybody's seen Overlord, Shaltier. Controlled, which is anybody who's played Skyrim, Vampire Lord. And then question mark. She's only transformed this in one other time. And that was when she died. Then came back to life. She died for 3 minutes and 2 seconds. And then she came back to life and went out of this transformation. The people who saw this transformation haven't been the same since. The number one villain has a cult following them because of this transformation. She was in America for a little bit, and then went back to Japan, and then went back to America for a little bit in this testing facility, because this testing facility was on the move constantly. So all the inmates, yes, the inmates are constantly on the move. It was a ship at one point, then it would dock, move the inmates onto land, test them on land, and then move them back into the ship and start flowing around the world again. And she died in captivity because they forgot to feed her one day. They fed her just enough to get past the day, because they wanted to see what her mental state would be like after a little bit of not eating. So they forgot to feed her one day, so she died. And she transformed into this form, and I'll describe it when it comes up later. And all these villains that saw this form, because she destroyed the entire ship, so she was docked in Japan for the entire time. She destroyed the entire ship. All the villains that saw her, that escaped, now worship her like a god. Just from seeing this form. And she doesn't know about this form. The only one who wasn't affected was frickin' Mr. Nobody. Hey, I heard you call me. Shut up. You're not supposed to be here. You're not in this episode. You called me twice. How am I not in this episode? Would you like to describe what the transformation is? No. You're good. Let's wait till later. Ooh, you could do it on the at the USJ. I was planning on doing it at the USJ, but apparently you want to be here, so why don't you show it off? Nah. Keep going. I'll be in the background. No. No, you won't. You're still in the same room. You won't be in the background, though. God. Where was I? Yeah. So, they know that she can tap into the Vampire Lord form and the Berserk form when something happens. So, we go to after they've done all the tests, and Izumi's number 1. Bakugo's number 2. And surprisingly, with the training regiment that Izumi's been going through, yes, she's been doing training ever since she woke up, with Hagakure's gotten so much stronger that she's stronger than most people in class. So she gets number 4. Number 3 still goes to Momo. And since that they have 21 in class, Aizawa is tempted to kick someone out. So he's like, Mineta, go away. So Mineta is now kicked out of class. He's now in class 1B. And Aoyama, being the second to last, gets kicked down to class 1B. And someone comes up to class 1A. That is from General Shinso. But this isn't normal Shinso. This is female Shinso. If you make eye contact with female Shinso, you can be mind controlled. But if you breathe in the fumes that she can release on command, then you kind of get put to sleep. No, your quirk can't be used during that. So now they have 2 quirk cancelings to calm her down if she goes cuckoo. They have a blood bag and they have 2 quirk cancelers that will help calm her down. So we go to the next day. Everybody's asking her, trying to get her attention, and she's just staying in the back, shy like a preschooler. Like how a preschooler would be. They're sitting in the back. They don't want to talk to people because of how shy they are. So everybody's trying to talk to her, and finally Hagakure is like, everybody, go away. Obviously, she does not want to talk to anybody because she hasn't been talking to people. So go away, or I'll tell Aizawa that you've been bugging the new student. And they know that she doesn't care what happens to anybody in class. She only cares for herself. Well, kind of for herself. So they'll freak out because Hagakure has told Aizawa multiple times of what's happened in the past Uraraka being a slut for money because she's overheard this stuff, Momo being a snobby rich kid, and a few others. So Aizawa has talked to them privately and said an anonymous person has told me what's been going on, and you need to change your actions or I will kick you out of UA. So Uraraka has been on her best behavior. Momo has not had the snobby rich kid personality anymore, and a few others. The only one who doesn't have a warning is Mina. Now, the kid that sits in the back that's always quiet, and no one knows why, but this kid's always quiet, and she doesn't talk to anybody. Yes, I'm replacing someone else. I'll tell you who I'm replacing later, when I get to that point. But since she doesn't talk to anybody, no one knows anything about her. Not even Hagakure knows anything about her. Because Hagakure doesn't talk to anybody at all. Except for 2 people. So, we go to the day after, or later that day, and it's now practical heroes versus villains. This is the mock battles, and everybody's been hating on Izumi for her being liked and treasured by Aizawa without her knowing that she's been favored by Aizawa. I have a pool, so I have to put some chlorine tablets in here. Give me a second. Sorry about this. I've been forgetting to do this. There we go. Time to put the chlorine away. So All Might says, I'm walking through the door like a normal person when he busts through the door. And he said this as Nezu walks into the door and says, All Might, do you remember what I told you? You're now in class 1B. And he goes, oh, sorry, I forgot. I will go there now. And he goes to class 1B, and everybody's like, uh-huh. And Nezu says, I'm sorry. There was a scandal upon All Might just a few days ago that we have to keep face in this school. And it's not because of a scandal, it's because of a student. Because someone overheard All Might talking on the phone. A certain little Neko that is always around our main character. So, All Might walks over just down the hall and he goes, I am here to them. And he starts explaining what they're going to do in Training Ground Alpha. And Nezu says, let's go to Training Ground Beta. And everybody gets dressed in their hero costumes. For Izumi, she just gets dressed in her villain outfit that they've labeled her a villain in. Skin-tight leather outfit like in Underworld for the main character. So she walks out and it's skin tight, so everybody sees her figure, and the only one who's actually affected by the seeing of the figure is Hagakure. She loses concentration because she always has to stay concentrated on being invisible. She lost concentration on being invisible. So the one person that could not, well, that in class could see her without her being visible, finally notices her entire features and whistles. So Hagakure gets snapped out of her distraction of Izumi, and she can't see herself when she's invisible. So she knows she's invisible. That's also another downside, is she can't see herself eat. She has to go purely off of instinct and feel. So she went invisible before anybody else noticed that she was visible, because she was in the back. And Shinso, female Shinso, walks up to Hagakure and says, "Tea." And Mina flips around and goes, "I sense tea." And Mina's only been complained about once by Bakugo, because Bakugo's crush. So Mina has been forbidden, while in Aizawa's teaching time, from saying the word tea whatsoever. She can't even say the word ship. So she runs over to Shinso, almost hitting Hagakure, because Hagakure, he is wearing clothes, but she can turn them invisible because they're made out of her fur. So Hagakure sidesteps Mina, barely, and Izumi runs over and grabs Hagakure in a friendly hug. And Nezu says, "Okay, now time for heroes versus villains. I know all of you see a villain in here and think, oh, I'm going to make them a hero. No. Their skills are more adept in being a villain. So, Miss Izumi Bloodfallen, would you please go with Hagakure, Miss Hagakure, to that building over there, and get ready, because Bakugo Katsuki and Mina Ashido will be joining you to fight." And Izumi hears this and walks over to Nezu and bows and says thank you, and whispers something in his ear, and he pales. They can physically see him pale, because he's white normally. Yes, he's very furry white, but you can see a pinkish hue behind some white fur, and he went ghostly white in his character, in his looks, and everybody looks at him and he goes, "When was this?" And she goes, "I don't know." And he goes, "Good to know. Wear this." And he pulls out a watch. And this watch has the ability to connect neurally to people's minds. And then he pulls out a collar. "Or this." And she goes, Can you make 2 of those?" And she points at the collar, and he goes, "Already done." And he pulls out another one, and she goes, "Okay." So she puts on a collar, and she hands one to Hagakure. And Hagakure reluctantly puts on a collar. And it disappears. And Hagakure goes, damn it. She walks over to Nezu, and Nezu can't see her because his IQ only works on his brain, makes him more intelligent. And he's expecting this. So he's like, I know you're right in front of me about to kick me. Please don't. I calculated this outcome. If you don't want the collar, I have a watch for you. And she goes, no, I'll stick with this. And she's saying this just quiet enough to where only he can hear it. And Izumi, because she has ultra good hearing. And she's, okay, gotta go. And he runs off. He runs off like the Roadrunner, just as fast as he can. So Hagakure just goes, ugh, I'm gonna kick him one of these days. And Izumi walks up and goes, yeah, let's go. And Izumi picks up Hagakure without anybody seeing this and disappears. And Hagakure blinked, and she opens her eyes and sees that she's in the building that they're supposed to. And Hagakure asks, did you just teleport? And she goes, no, I ran. And Hagakure's like, what? And she goes, yeah, I can run super fast. I can break down walls really easily. And another cool thing is, she just rips off her hand. I can regenerate my hand. And it starts to regenerate, and she goes, ow, that hurts, though. I shall not do that again. And Hagakure goes, yeah, I don't suggest you do that. And every time that Izumi has a severe injury, like a limb getting ripped off or a giant gash across her chest, she starts getting hungry. So she pulls out a thing from a backpack she's wearing, and it's a very small, thin backpack. If you've seen the health gauge for Dead Space, you know what the backpack looks like. It's strapped really tightly to her chest, so it doesn't move whatsoever. She pulls out a hose from it, and she grabs the hose with her mouth and starts to suck. And she sucks blood out of the backpack, and it starts to shrink a little, but not very much. And she starts to regenerate faster, and she's not as hungry. Because they've been testing blood types with her eating, and they found out that O negative blood doesn't fill her up very fast, like some foods don't fill people up fast, but AB positive blood, I think I made AB negative, or A and B blood fill her up the most. AB and AB negative, I think, are the ones that give her the drunk or high effect. Yeah, I think it's the AB negative. I don't remember exactly, but I'll just say Hagakure slits her wrist and starts feeding Izumi whenever she goes crazy. Or Hagakure somehow gets in front of her and makes her bite her neck. That's for later. So, we go to, after 5 minutes, Izumi has been sitting down on the ground, just continuously drinking blood. And the backpack's now dry, just completely dry. Everything is sucked out of it. And she goes, okay, everything is ready. And she sits against the wall, just super tired, ready to take a nap. And she starts to doze off. And Hagakure sees this, and then she's like, why are you so tired? And Izumi goes, we've won. I just need a nap. And she falls asleep against the wall, and she looks like a child again. So Hagakure, trusting her, walks over to her and sits next to her, and it's such a soothing, peaceful sound around her and scent that Hagakure starts to doze off. With the heroes. And so a lot of vampires go for blood manipulation and things that pertain against blood. Well, I'm just saying that's a fuel source for her. She can use a lot of different skills. Some vampires are adept in illusions. So if anybody has watched, I forget who it was that did, or the What If Crew. I think it's the What If Crew or the Crew. If anybody's watched the Crew, their original Neo series, Neo can make giant, elaborate sculptures with her talents. So Izumi can do pretty much the same thing, but not as elaborate, and it's not solid. So someone could walk through it. So Izumi, at lightning speed, or faster than speed of light at some points, so the air around her doesn't have time to disperse. So she has to move air for herself. So faster than light, she moves air, and then she's back in the same position and starts drinking more blood. So she's made a labyrinth, literally. All of a sudden, Nezu sees the hallways start to shift around, and it's a legitimate labyrinth. And he sees something that shouldn't be there. And he goes under the comms, and Izumi's still partially awake, and he says, Izumi, illusion or not? And she goes, beast, illusion. I'm tired. And then finally falls asleep completely. So she's completely out of it. And Hagakure, with the soothing aura that Izumi's getting off while she's sleeping, when she's near Hagakure, she falls asleep to it. Very soothing. It's like what the hell are they listening to over there? I don't know what the hell that song is. If you guys heard it, sorry. It's in the background. I honestly don't know what that is. Sounds like a bunch of gibberish. So, Izumi's just completely out of it, and the monster is just walking around, and the difference between her and Neo's illusions don't make sound, but they can stay still. So this illusion makes a sound and can move around. So Bakugo and Mina, I think I put Mina. It's either Mina or Shinso. But both of them walk in, and they start to go through this maze. And they see this maze, and they're like, damn, Nezu didn't hold anything back for this trial. And Nezu goes up on the comm saying, this is an illusion. The building is actually true, but there's an illusion in here that looks real. Sounds real. Smells real. I suggest you don't panic. And Bakugo, hearing don't panic, goes, oh crap, what did she do now? And he remembers the old little picture books that Izumi loved before she went missing. Jason and the Argonauts, the story of the labyrinth, King Midas. So he remembers all these Greek and Nordic myths that she loved. He even remembers that she started listening to audio of this one game that's so depth in lore that it took her all the way up until she disappeared, and she still doesn't completely understand it. And she told him about this game that she would like to try in the future if she ever gets a chance, that has such good lore and so in depth that it takes 10-ish years for them to even get a game out. And that when they do get a game out, it's game of the year immediately. Sometimes. So he looked up this game and he saw that this great bunch of YouTubers did all this lore on it, and that he subscribed to Fudge Muppets. I suggest you guys go subscribe to Fudge Muppets. They're really great YouTubers. I listen to their Elder Scrolls lore all the time. I don't personally care for any of their other content. I prefer their Elder Scrolls content, but that's just me. You may love their Witcher content, and you may love their other content, but I prefer Elder Scrolls. So we go to maybe five minutes into the test, and Bakugo has lost his partner. They're far gone. And he's forgotten exactly what Nezu said, because this maze has been playing tricks on his mind, so he has been focusing on this maze and not what has happened in the past. Like the past 20 minutes, he forgot what Izumi looked like. He just knows she has red hair. So he starts hearing a thud. Then another thud. Then another thud. And it goes thud, 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 like something's charging. And all of a sudden, the wall to the wall to the building opens up. And he sees this monster running at him. And he recognizes it as a minotaur. And currently, this is going to be a little weird, but currently in Izumi's mind, she sees somebody. And she sees somebody, then a horn on the ground. She actually sees 12 horns. And she sees 12 plaques. She sees one plaque attached to the end of the horn, clogging the horn. So she walks up to it, and the person she sees, that is a cat sith. If you know what a cat sith is, it's a cat. It's a cat beastkin that has more than one tail. She sees a cat sith, and she starts freaking out, like, oh my god, it's Cat. And the cat walks in front of her and blocks her path. His cat is a lot shorter than her. She's currently 6'2". Agakure is 5'2", so a foot shorter. And this one's like 4'2", really short compared to her. And this cat is shaking in fear, because what this cat sees is a monster in front of her. She sees something that could bring the end of the world. Izumi isn't looking down at what she looks like. She just feels like she needs to blow these horns. And she turns around and sees 5 figures. 5 more figures. They just look like heads. Their eyes are burning with a yellow glow, and their mouths have a blazing fire in them. And she hears somebody. She hears someone pleading. She hears this one person pleading to stop the fighting. And they say, we will help. Bring 3 of your siblings, and we'll give you the power to stop the fighting. So a scene change. The horns are gone, the heads are gone, and all three of the new people have arrived. This one person has a giant metal arm and a tiny little arm. Another one has a mask on, looks pale, deathly pale. Another one has flaming red hair with a whip on her waist. And the last one has 2 holsters with 2 pistols in them. And they're all kneeling. And the guy with the big gauntlet arm grabs a sword and throws it behind him. And it lands right in front of Izumi. And Izumi looks down and she's seeing this, and all 4 of them look at her and say, "You're the only one left that can blow them." When war comes, it's time to blow the horns. That's for later. Because once they say it's time to blow the horns, she wakes up. And she sees the bomb. She sees Hagakure's right next to her. And Bakugo has finally entered the room. He is shitting and pissing himself. Somewhere in the maze, the other student is currently shitting and pissing themselves because of all the weird shit that they've seen and a lot of stuff that has been very gory. They've seen some scenes where the people are ripped apart limb from limb. They're ripped open. Their guts have been devoured. They're rotting flesh. It's just gruesome scenes. So they're completely shaken up. Baku, on the other hand, he's like, yeah, I'm done. I can't. I forfeit. And Izumi grabs something from her backpack. And this backpack had just enough space for one item besides the blood packs that she has to stick in there to hold tight. And she grabs a ball of yarn. And this little ball of yarn is very, very small. And she says, "Okay, well, time for you to find your way out." And hands him the ball of yarn. And it doesn't, with the aura that she's giving off, because everybody can feel a slight aura. If they're evil, if it's an evil aura, like if someone has negative emotions or intentions, and if someone has good intentions, they can feel that. And this is a mature aura that Bakugo is not used to. And he's like, "Izumi, is that you?" And she goes, "Yeah." "Now get out. You'll win this trial if you walk out of here." And she says this, and her voice, when she said this, reverberated throughout the entire school. "If you complete this trial." And Bakugo heard this, and it reverberated completely through. And he goes, what trial?" And she sits back down and goes, "The one you're in. When you get out, you win." And she goes back to sleep. And she's the peaceful little child mentality that she is. And I'm going to end it there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I have to give a big thanks to Shiro Senpai. I'll try to get a link to her channel in the description and in the pinned comment. But if I don't, no, not if I don't. I will get it at least in the pinned comment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys have stayed this long, go check her out if you already haven't. She's great. She's absolutely great with the stuff that she's done. And she's starting a week off, so she's about to start doing more recordings. Hopefully. It's not a guarantee. No YouTuber is guaranteed to do what they say their schedule is. Nobody's guaranteed to do that. So, yeah. If you guys like my content, please consider liking, subscribing. We're not going to have another Horror Nico because I'm going to get lessons from the one YouTuber that has actually helped me with this stuff, Shiro Senpai. So I have to thank her again. I know I've already thanked her like 3 times already, but still, thank you. I know you're probably watching this, and you might not even be here at this point, but thank you. I'm getting a better understanding of romance scenes that I can slightly do. And I'd love to collab with Shiro Senpai one day. If you guys want to collab with her, me and her, so I do the fight scenes. Like, she does one episode with the romantic scenes. I watch her content, and she does the romantic scenes either in texting story and audio if she wants to do audio. That's all up to her. So she does the texting story romance scenes. I do the fight scene. So when a fight scene comes up, my turn. So get ready for a collab if in the future if we do one. So if you guys have made it this far, type Seraph of the End or if you do both in the answer column in Discord, you get 1,000 points. If you only do one or the other, you get 500 points. It's easy to do. Or Darksiders 1, 2, 3, and Genesis. You must type exactly Darksiders 1, 2, 3, and Genesis to get the 500 points. You must type Seraph of the End one time to get the other 500 points. You'll be able to get both of those 500 points, which means you can get 1,000 points from this video. Next video I give out, I'm going to give another little code that's going to be at the end of the video if you've made it this far. And if you do put it in the comments, I'll immediately heart it, guaranteed. So, remember, Seraph of the End and Darksiders 1, 2, 3, and Genesis. There you go. Those are the codes. I really wish you guys would get the ship tickets because I think you guys have enough points. Some of you might not. Who knows? Remember, ship tickets and yeet slips. Yeet slips are, you must have a good reason to yeet them. The ship tickets, you must have 3 or more people to hand in their ship tickets to change a ship or to give me a reason to make a ship a certain way in a different what if. So I'm planning on making another what if after this one. This what if I am planning on finishing in the next like 5-ish episodes, maybe. I don't know. But I'm planning on finishing this one, then starting a new one. Then it's going to be Jack. I know I've been pushing off Jack a lot. I really want to do it. I'm going to be doing it. But I can't do it just yet. Because I don't want another Horror Nico to happen during that one. Because the next one, there's not going to be a ship. I know you guys like ships because it makes things interesting, but I'm not good enough to do ships every single time. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Talk to you guys later. Bye! I got 16 more seconds till it's an hour.